My name is Carolyn Hallett and I am the Child Sponsorship Director at the Salvation Army. So in places like Africa and Asia, the Salvation Army have residential care facilities, children's homes, boarding schools for children who are vulnerable and marginalised and really need support of our fellow Australians to support them through their education and provide for their basic needs. Without that support, they would struggle to survive. The families work really hard with what they have. They might be labourers, but the money just does not stretch far enough to support their families and their children's education.
I'm Ian Callender. My overseas appointment was in Eastern Europe Territory as the Divisional Commander for the Moldova Division, and that was between the end of 2007 and 2012. One of the projects that we helped sponsor, we helped just deliver firewood to people old folks who would have been cold that winter. We learnt later that the previous winter, 45 people had frozen to death in that village because of lack of heating. So our giving of the firewood to people just kept them alive. We fed people. You know, we had people coming to canteens run by the Salvation Army where we gave them a good solid meal, and that's probably the only meal they had for the day. When funding dried up, we had to stop the program. It was as simple as that. We had no money locally to put into that. All of that sort of stuff was funded by missionary giving.
Some of the local officers live in the most desperate situations around the world, and they are our hands and feet. They're the ones getting their hands dirty, fulfilling the mission that Booth called us to support the most vulnerable and marginalised in the world.
Look, I think people in countries like Australia, Western countries who are pretty affluent, should recognise the fact that we do live in affluent countries. As far as the Salvation Army is concerned, we're one army. We're not just an army in Australia or the West. We're one army across the world with one message and one mission. And I think it really is our responsibility as affluent Christians to support work in countries that aren't as developed as ours and be joyful about it. It really is a good thing to do. It gives me a good feeling as I support the work of the Salvation Army in developing countries. Having been there and having seen what my money does, it gives me a great sense of joy and satisfaction in doing that.
We've seen children who have gone on to be adults and become doctors, teachers, nurses. There's just so many things that we see on a day-to-day basis through letters and newsletters from overseas that remind us of the good work that the Salvation Army are doing in those territories, but they can't do it without our financial assistance.
Look, I think giving to missions is a scriptural principle. It's the Matthew 25 stuff where we're asked to clothe the naked and feed the hungry and visit the sick in hospital. That's a worldwide thing. I would want people to look beyond their own boundaries to get a greater world view and see that, okay, we have problems in our own country, but we really do live in the best country in the world. And I say that from having visited many countries where lifestyle is so different to ours. I can't impress enough. People's giving to Missionary Appeal can do so much for people who've got so little.